Hello, welcome back to another episode of Somewhere Between a Film and TV podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Daniel Parra.
And I'm Erwin.
And number one, thank you so much for listening and watching. Number two, what are they going to do?
They're going to poop. They're going to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you for that. Also, yeah, if you have any laxative issues.
Laxative issues?
Yeah.
If you have any bowel movements that are issues, then yes.
Take your laxatives. Yeah.
Yes, take your laxatives. There you go.
So we're talking about shit, right?
Speaking of shit,
yeah,
let's talk about
the electric state. So, you can tell what we thought of this probably. Like,
yeah, okay,
but yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Because
yes.
I feel like we're like bulging with ideas here.
Ew, why do you always have to come back to like that area? It's always that area.
What is the electric state about, Erwin?
Hey, Big D.
Oh yeah.
Electric State. Electric State is about this boy genius, that gets taken advantage of by the government. And he is like, what if instead I get transferred into a robot, and the robot is the boy genius now, and is like, I gotta go find my sister because I need a connection. And the sister's like, well, my brother and my entire family is dead. And then they do like this road trip, and then they end up finding Chris Pratt with a robot.
Yeah.
And I really like that robot.
Oh, Anthony Mackie?
Yeah.
Dude, from now on, I'm not letting you like IMDb descriptions. I'm just gonna let you like come up with your own, because that was amazing. Like, yeah,
because I'm like, that's what it was.
I mean, yeah, because like the beginning of the movie feels like it has like no connection to the other part of it for a while,
dude.
But it's
oh
like,
my God, I forgot that he was a genius.
Yeah, no,
like there was like the brother was like this, like he was supposed to be smarter than Albert Einstein.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's what it was.
Okay,
and I was like, okay.
Yeah, so that is what this movie's about. It's based off of...
There's a war with robots and humans.
Yeah.
That they did a whole montage and, like, skipped over.
Which looked like a much better movie than the
one.
Oh,
dude, okay. Okay, hurry. I want to talk about the positives and the negatives real quick.
Okay.
I can't.
Because, yeah, we're gonna... It's funny, because I didn't like this movie at all. But
yeah. Okay.
But anyway.
Yes.
With this movie, did you love it? Did you hate it, or are you somewhere between?
I would say I hate it.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
Whoa, wait. Did you love it? Did you hate it, or are you somewhere between?
In the most kind of boring way possible, even though
I only gave you 3 options.
I hated it.
Oh, dude, I didn't expect that.
Really? Oh, also, this is based off of some really, really cool graphic novel artwork.
Oh.
If you ever like saw a long time ago those like big mountainous robots in the sky with like all the fog and stuff, that's what this is based off of.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That's crazy, because once you look at that and you see some of the creature designs where they're like out in the Ravagers, or it's Guardians of the Galaxy, but
whoa, God.
It's the same shit.
Yeah.
But the way those robots look with the red eyes looked awesome, and then I realized it was like 1-to-1 with that.
Yeah.
My positives come from something that did not stem from this.
Yeah. I mean, then again, I guess from this whole movie, you could say that it's inspired by a lot of things. Oh, heavily.
Inspired is an interesting word to use. So, have you seen E.T.?
Yes.
Have you seen Ready Player One?
Yes.
Do you know who Steven Spielberg is?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know him. I would love to know him one day and ask him about that photo he took of the burger.
So,
dude, I loved it when you sent me that.
I forgot about that completely. The Russo brothers. Do you like everything you've seen that they've made?
I haven't seen Cherry.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one that they made after that one?
The Gray Man?
Gray Man?
Yeah.
I haven't seen those 2 movies.
Okay.
I've seen this one, and then all the other Marvel movies, and then all of Community.
Yeah. So, I've seen all of it.
Yeah.
I think Cherry's underrated, actually. I quite enjoy it. I liked The Gray Man enough. It was, standard Netflix thing. But, speaking of Netflix... Let's talk about the most expensive Netflix movie ever made, clocking in at $320 million, directed by the Russos. We said that all to say that
I just wonder where that money goes. I need to know.
I have no idea outside of people's contracts because there are a lot of famous people in this movie, seemingly for no reason, because Coleman Domingo is in this for one scene. Jason Alexander's in this for one scene. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I just want to start this
I
off.
love Stanley Tucci.
I liked him up until he started being like, oh boy, this is what the hell's his name from Ready Player One? Ben Mendelsohn.
No, not really. Oh, I guess before he was like, my mom was this and that.
That's the part that I kind of liked, even though that's the technology they introduced in Civil War.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get our positives here first. What you like about this?
I like the robot designs.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty cool. I think Chris Pratt, I haven't disliked him yet, like how some people are. Like, he plays the same. He definitely knows the type of character he can play.
In this one, he was Star-Lord, though.
Yeah, he's just very charismatic to me.
Yeah.
And for now, he's still playing a role that I'm like, or he's still playing a good enough, like, role in any type of movie where I'm like, I like him.
Yeah.
I still like him. I'll see him in anything type of thing. So, and I'm trying to think, I think that's it for me. I love Stanley Tucci.
Just generally speaking.
Yeah, I just love seeing him.
Okay. I liked the robot designs as well.
Okay. There were some shots that were pretty cool.
There were some shots that were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think this movie's a little too ugly for the budget.
There's some that I was like, that was not $320 million.
I can't believe it. I genuinely cannot believe it.
Yeah.
And I also liked Chris Pratt enough in it, as well as his little robot friend Anthony Mackie, even though he got a little bit annoying. And it's just that, like, also I don't know if I'm sure you haven't, but like Near Automata, I think is what it's called.
Ooh.
It's a video game about like a dystopian world where robots have taken over because they were fighting with humanity.
Yes,
but it's the same shit. It even looked visually similar.
Yeah,
but I have a lot to complain about, so let's go ahead. I feel like we're both like...
I think there's more negatives for sure for my side. And
I can't say that I like the action. I feel like there was none somehow. Yeah. Like, it ended in the third act with a huge fight, because of course it did.
Yeah, of course. That ending of that fight, we were doing the negatives?
Let's go ahead and steer into it, yeah.
So, just the ending alone, exactly like how Ready Player One, it just reminded me just straight up from it, the music, the build up, everything about it.
Hey, okay, actually, before I start doing the negatives, one thing I liked, even though it felt like it was critiquing something that it was doing, Chris Pratt's character literally sells nostalgia. I like that. Yeah. Even though this movie is filled with it for kind of nothing, really. I like...
Whoa, so we're out of the negatives now?
Now we're back into the negatives, yeah.
Okay.
I just don't understand, a lot of this, but like...
I don't know. It just makes me question more so do these directors, like the Russo brothers, and even the writers too,
Markus and Stephen McFeely,
it makes me wonder: do they actually have like a sense of control in like the stuff that they do?
Yeah.
Because looking back at like the movies that they made together, just the movies alone. And seeing how they were just made, not just like financially, but just like the quality of their movies, I question it a bit because I'm like, what is going on here?
Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely at least also made Pain and Gain, which like weird side thing, but they did make that, so I know that they have creative opportunity outside of that. The Russo brothers, though, I haven't exactly defended or anything, but I also haven't immediately gotten on their like negative side like so much of the internet has.
Yes.
Because I remember they are in fact behind Winter Soldier and Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame and those episodes of
Community.
Yeah. So
some of them are just like the paintball ones.
Yeah, so like that they have something there, I guess. But then I don't know what's going on with them that they're like at this point now. I genuinely, once they left Marvel and now they're back there, the creativity behind their stuff has diminished with each movie that they've started to do. And so now it's sort of like, it makes you wonder, because you always hear that Marvel has a specific sense of control over the projects that they do. So it makes me wonder, like, okay, well, who is the talented one here exactly?
Yeah, exactly. And I think another negative from this movie to me was Millie Bobby Brown.
I was gonna ask you about that,
dude. I've only seen her in. I'm trying to think of like some other ones I've seen. Besides like Stranger Things, I think she does a great job in playing such like an outburst type of character.
Yeah.
Because I see her in Stranger Things, and then of course like the Godzilla movies.
Which she's
she's there.
She's doing her thing.
Yeah, but like she's not Godzilla. Like.
Yeah. Like I mean, that's not what you're there for. You're not there to watch Millie Bobby Brown, Bon Jovi, and like
Bon Jovi, but. In this movie in particular, she had to be very reserved and like showcase a lot of like, just a lot of her emotions through like facial expressions and such. And I don't think she did a good job in showcasing like this type of connection she would have with her brother as well as she could have. And I don't know if it's just because of just her and the direction with the movie as well. But it just didn't. I was not sold with a brother and sister.
I wasn't sold on a single relationship in this movie. It actually gets on your nerves. I can't remember what movie we were making fun of. Probably Borderlands, where it like sets up relationships, and you're like, when? Yeah,
exactly.
And the brother's in one scene at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then she's like, actually, my family didn't die because of the robots. They died because of a deer or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing about that is I was like, okay, whatever. But I like the whole cool girl can't be approached, or cool guy, like they've...
Yeah, this cool girl doesn't want to do anything with the robots whatsoever. No technology. All very old school.
No, she's like, I'm an old soul. Like those people in real life that are like, I was born in the wrong era. And you're like,
I'm like, shut up. I don't want to hear you talking anymore.
I should have been born in the 1980s because I like a VHS. You're like, shut up. Like, stop talking.
Okay, dude. She's not here.
Not
Another thing I was annoyed by this movie is the damn montage of the war.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, the war itself was so cool. And I think what made me so upset about this movie was every time they had a chance to, like, the world itself, just like, whenever they were talking about the humans versus the robots, they could have spent time just talking about that, what went wrong and like what went right for like each side, and they just brushed over that and just got straight to the point. And that stuff was it was very interesting to me too, and I just think that they didn't spend any time with it whatsoever and just talked about like the aftermath.
Oh yeah.
And we just got to see that aspect.
It's so, speaking of just talking about stuff, it's so exposition heavy. It's so like, when this happened, after this happened, after this happened, and you're like, can you like show me instead?
Yes.
Plenty of movies do flashback now. How about you do the same thing?
Yeah.
You have the money for it. It's like, where did it go? I don't know. Outside of, it's just so irritating because, especially Netflix, like we complain about Netflix so much, but I swear to God, if I see one more movie that's like reminds me of Red Notice in some kind of way where the action is boring and like barely put together, whatever there is of it, the jokes are so non-standard, not funny, just like said.
They're very thrown away. Like they were just like we'll just say this part and that's it as a joke and then move forward.
It's very like to the extent that like I know Chris Pratt is funny. We've seen Parks and Rec.
I love Parks and Rec.
I do too. We've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. He's kind of misused in the Jurassic World movies because he's not funny in them, but like
he's very serious.
Yeah, but point is, we know that it's one of those things where you're like, okay, because he's Chris Pratt, they're like, say something and you'll make it funny. But then when you can kind of tell when an actor is asked to do that because he kind of just amps up his like yelling and his like the way he delivers things sarcastically. Because there's a point where a joke is made where like Twinkies are old and he like dips them in beans or something, which I was like, yeah, whatever, I guess. But like, that's the joke. Is like, there's nothing else to it other than that he eats it, and then like there's no expansion on if it tastes bad or whatever. It's just it cuts to the next shot and the thing is gone. So you're kind of like, oh, I don't understand why that was even put in there.
Yeah. Also with this movie, the main drive, I would say, was just like emotional connection.
Yeah.
And basically having connection with like humans and robots, and it definitely didn't deliver on that, because the main plot point was just the fact that the brother basically having a connection with humans and robots, and he was like the main reason why he was able to like have it, or have the reason why like the war to end in a way. And him, I don't know, like still trying to have a connection with everyone around him, and I just could not feel anything about this movie whatsoever.
For the brother, you mean?
Yeah.
It's hard because
we didn't spend enough time learning about the brother. We just knew that he was like a boy genius.
Yeah.
And that he didn't want to be like, he didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to like be didn't want to go to school. Just wanted to be with his sister.
What a bum, man.
Dude, I'm like, what are you doing?
This is why you became a literal potato for most of the movie. That's what
Yeah.
you wanted. But
that's what he wanted. He just didn't want to do anything.
He like also his whole thing is that he's obsessed with this cartoon.
Yeah.
I actually that's another thing that got on my nerves.
Yeah.
The robot that is him.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm kind of over this, like the whole like repeating the lines of dialogue over and over. I'm like, yes, I've seen Michael Bay's Transformers with Bumblebee. It's the same thing, and it's like the designs are cool.
That's a good reference.
Yeah, but that's literally what it was because like Michael Bay also. Steven Spielberg helped out with that first one.
Yeah.
And I like that sounds like something that he would come up with too.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, I get it. Like we're doing the whole like E.T. friends with a like other type of being. It becomes family.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was supposed to be the enemy, but now you become friends with them.
Yes, which is like the the consistent moral. I'm sure I'm sure this is gonna be some 10-year-old's favorite movie. Like I really do believe that. But the whole thing about it is I'm jaded with Netflix.
Yeah.
They keep making this type of movie that's like so sort of you put it on. Also, we posted a TikTok about this and like the comments on that are getting like annoying because I'm so over the defense of it is a movie that you're supposed to turn your brain off. You're supposed
like, how do you just turn off your brain?
You're supposed to use it as background noise. And then I'm like, you understand
this isn't ASMR. What are you doing?
You understand how backhanded that is? It's like, you're shitty on purpose.
I'm confused.
Like, all I'm saying is this movie is about what? It's about robots have a soul, that they're like assigned a certain type of job. But I'm like, I'm sorry, but a movie so soulless as this, trying to make that point, it comes off so half-assed. And like one huge thing that I can say about this movie, this is like the entire point centered into one. The fucking Woody Harrelson Mr. Peanut robot, I did not like at all. At first, I was like, "That's kind of a funny."
I like the idea,
yeah,
but I did not like him at all. Too, he was kind of getting on my nerves.
He got annoying.
Yeah,
he was like.
I wish he was just more. I don't know. I kind of wish he kind of more like an Optimus Prime type of
like voice or like
aura.
A type of you mean like a leadership role?
Yeah. Because he did not have that to me.
No, like I get it. He's like so jaded by humanity. He's like, all of you guys are the same, and you're like,
you guys
oh my god, you're like,
oh my peanuts.
No, and you're like, oh my god, this is just like real life, and you're like, like I get it. Like it's very like on the nose, right?
Yeah, racism.
And then she also goes, this is nuts, and then
dude,
like I'm like, okay. I was like, you know what? You saw an opportunity, and
like they have bolts. I get it.
Like,
hey, you have nuts.
Hey,
get back to it again.
That's why I brought it up. See?
You're good.
Also, I do love the Planters peanuts. But they are really good.
I do remember you always having that container.
Yeah, I still get them all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm sorry. That dude was annoying. And then, also, what was the whole thing about the million celebrities that are in this movie that are
Dude, I don't know. It made me just think about the budget more.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hate the fact that movies, before they're even released, they talk about, of course, like, the reviews come out.
Yeah.
But they also come out with, like, behind the scenes, budget, all this and that. And I feel like that also plays a role in people's, like, reviews as well.
Perception of it,
yes. And they think that they'll go either easy on it, too. Sometimes, or, like, harder on it because of that kind of stuff. So I kind of understand why some people would review certain things, especially this movie, knowing all those things and then going into it, thinking, and then they go easier on it. They're like, I mean, like, this stuff happened, this and that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, you have to look at it for like what it's like trying to say and like what it's being given to you.
Yeah.
And overall, like this movie was just very mediocre.
Well,
especially since it's being pulled, like a lot of things are just being pulled from other movies too. It's just being like smashed into one.
It felt like we just
like Iron Giant was like it felt like there's moments to, like Iron Giant too.
Yeah, we just talked about this with Opus. I just like it's one of those things where I'm like I've seen all of these things that you're homaging, but like I was just like I've seen it. Do something.
Yes.
with it.
I mean, they could have too.
Like one of the defenses of it is like, oh, it's like an old school throwback type of movie. I know, I saw the movie.
Yes.
Like the difference is I didn't enjoy it. I'm like, if I wanted to see these things, I could go and watch them.
Yeah.
People had the same complaint with Ready Player One, but I like that movie. Like I've.
Oh
seen
yeah,
it.
Ready Player One was great, but they acknowledged it and then they were aware of what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This one. It just they weren't acknowledging it whatsoever, and they kind of made it seem like they were trying to do something with their own.
Yeah.
But of course, it fell flat because of the lack of character, like the care for like building a story between them and like the connection to have with one another.
Yeah.
And not just like the brother and sister, but like with Millie Bobby Brown and with Chris Pratt as well.
It
was very forced.
Yeah, they don't have any chemistry with each other either. It gets to a point where even it's like, I'm coming with you.
Dude,
like, why?
Why? Dude, like you didn't really care.
Yeah. No, and then they spend. There's like a scene that happens in every single movie like this where it's sort of like.
Yeah, you're not an asshole.
Yeah, no, but even before that, where it's like, yes, Han Solo, and it's kind of funny that Chris Pratt's doing the Han Solo thing again.
Yeah.
Star-Lord, I feel, is his own character.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's very reverted back into Han Solo, where it's like, she shows up, he's like, I'm not coming with you, kid. You're on your own. And then she's like. And then something happens under circumstances where it's like, well, where are we going next? And you're like, so you're just with them now?
Yeah.
And in this one, it happens whenever, like, Giancarlo Esposito's in this, by the way. And
Dude, like, oh my god, that one scene where it's Stanley Tucci and him.
Yeah.
And, like, they're in that world.
Yeah.
That looked so bad.
It looked bad. I like the idea.
The ideas are there.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, what's his name? From Seinfeld.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Yeah, no, I brought that up earlier.
Oh, you did?
He's in it. Where also, another thing about this movie, feels like it could be its own movie whenever he like randomly says, he's like, my frontal cortex is in Las Vegas somewhere. I was like, why is that not the movie? That he can be like, that you can take this device and be like 4 places at once.
Yeah.
I thought that was super interesting. But then of course, you know what those headsets reminded me of? Oh, you don't have it. But the Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just so
or even like all the the villains like robots in that game in that world. It looks exactly like it.
It looked like Chappie. Like have you seen
yeah.
It looked exactly like that. Which I know that movie has its fan base. I saw it. I feel like I was having a bad day. I might enjoy that movie more now.
Yeah.
Because I remember that just kind of getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
But this movie also felt like they were huge fans of that as well because it looked just like that, or Elysium to an extent.
Oh yeah.
But
damn. All these movies.
No, and then that's also like you guys kind of picked some deep cut sci-fi stuff to be fans of and to copy.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like, Elysium didn't do well. We can just like we'll lift that.
We'll put it back in there.
But
it's also Netflix. It's just like the way they market things too.
Yeah, no,
they market terribly.
They market terribly. I'm sure they're gonna be somehow, some way. This is gonna be the most viewed Netflix movie ever because they don't actually release their metrics. I'm onto you. But
number one movie again this week? No, I don't believe you.
Yeah, like it's gonna be one of those things where it's like number 1 movie in the world. I'm like, what world, man?
Like, that's like how it's like you made it where like you can only watch Netflix at like the Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
At like that one singular like home that you have.
I guess like I felt very. I hate when I can tell when you know how there was that whole thing that released where they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we do put in movies that we make that certain ones that are produced by Netflix in-house, they have to have a certain barometer where they're able to get on the phone and still understand what's going on. It's written into the contracts with some people that they put that in their scripts. I was like, so it bothers the hell out of me when I can tell because somebody repeated their motivations or their lines of dialogue 1 billion times.
Yeah.
How many times does Millie Bobby Brown exclusively say, I need to find my brother. I have to save my brother. Where's my brother? It's like, that's it. That's the extent of her character. Yeah. She doesn't have a personality. I don't really know anything about her other than when she's first introduced, she's the cool girl.
Yeah.
And that, like, she doesn't care about anything in the world, and she has a mysterious past because, 2 years had passed? 4?
It was like 2 or 3, yeah. Same thing with, like, the brother. You just don't know anything about the brother. He's just the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then you also have, like, Chris Pratt, where he's just like, oh, well, I'm on my own. That one scene, too, at the very end, where he's like, all my friends are gone. They're all married. And I just have you as a robot. I'm like, that was cool to see. I'm like, but I wanted more. And no, that's almost the end of the movie.
Yeah, you're like, does he have friends?
And I was like, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
I like their friendship, too, along the years, too. So
Anthony Mackie's robot's visual gimmick of getting bigger and then getting tiny, I like that.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
I like the designs for him a lot. I actually don't like the way the robot for the brother looked at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just like, I get what they were going for. I get what that was supposed to be, but again, a lot of the movie also reminded me of The Last of Us.
My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Oh, I like that show. Yeah, I do remember that. I remember that really well, actually. Yeah. But it even takes place in a mall, which is like a huge thing that happens in The Last of Us. It just felt so weird.
Yeah.
And like, even with the robots, I couldn't tell you quite off the top of my head what it reminded me of. But even Giancarlo Esposito's...
Brian Cox was in this.
Yeah, he was. He was the robot dude that got on my nerves.
The baseball?
Yeah.
Play ball.
I did not like him.
It's just weird seeing him from like Succession to that.
And you can hear the voice and
So why is he so happy?
What else bothered you about this? I just like...
I think what else bothered me was probably some of the action scenes too.
Yeah.
Just because it just felt so flat. And for the robots too, I understand that it's supposed to be like some savage world that they lived in now, but they had color on them. And every robot looked so bland.
Yeah.
And untouched. And just the screen, every shot too, it felt it's just nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing was very like bright or into your face, and sometimes like everything's blended together too. All like the robot designs.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I really wish they could just stop for a second and like just showcase the designs for each robot in like some unique ways too.
There was some distinction to their personalities, like Jenny Slate's male girl.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That one robot with like who's like a hairstylist.
Oh, like obsessed with hair, and then in the hair, like I think Chris Pratt gets a haircut for some reason.
Yeah.
Like halfway through it. And then another one was the one for that Ke Huy Quan's with, where it's like
he was
kinda, yeah. For no reason, by the way. She's like, you betrayed me or whatever, and then he just kind of disappears.
And he dies.
No, he dies.
Yeah, he's like, you can't kill robots. Robots can't kill humans.
He's in 2 scenes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what Giancarlo Esposito's character was even
I'm tired. He is a lead. He
Yeah.
needs to lead. I don't know what he's doing with these side roles.
He keeps doing the same kind of role as well. I cut some slack with Captain America because I thought he got something to do at least in that.
Yeah.
This one, though, totally thankless. He's exclusively there to sit at an office desk somewhere.
Yes.
And then be... Also, by the way, something I do not like, the
screens.
Yeah.
Dude, you can't even recognize it unless you recognize the voices.
Yeah.
I could not tell. The way I had to pause and be like, who is that?
No, initially when Stanley Tucci's kills the person,
I didn't think it was Stanley.
I didn't know it was him. Yeah.
Me too.
No, and then the whole point where he's like, I finally met somebody with less soul than a robot. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Dude, but that was funny. I can't.
No, it wasn't.
It was just along the lines where I was just waiting for this line to happen. Just because you knew what was going to happen.
Because there's no bad line of dialogue. It's like the shit that we make fun of where it's like, guys, you're going to want to see this. You're like,
he's right behind me, isn't he?
It's like shit like that. No, the worst of it. Well, I hate this shit now where he's like, you think I'm going to get in there and do that thing? And then immediate cut where it's like...
I'm here doing the thing.
Yeah. Dude. You know what? Didn't Thor do that 2 movies ago?
Wasn't it Thor 4?
It's Thor... I'm sure it happened.
Oh, probably Thor 2.
I'm sure it happened. I know it happens in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh.
Where he's like, you want to do get help? He's like, we're not doing get help. And then,
He does do help.
I'm sure it happens like 4 times in the 4th one. That's that movie's level of humor.
Yeah.
But it's just all the shit like that where it's Novocaine that has this where it's like, but I like that movie. But that has a very similar sort of like, oh no, what's going on type of situation. Where it's just like that level of, where not Pictionary, what's the Mad Libs? Where it's like Mad Libs, a Netflix movie. And I hate when people use this critique, but since the Russo brothers brought it up in an interview themselves, I want to No. I want to complain about this. The usage of AI in this movie has been officially documented. That they used it, I'm sure, for more than I'm anticipating, unfortunately. But
Did they tell you when and where?
I know they used it for some of the robot voices.
Yeah.
Which, that irritates me. That's agitating, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's the simple fact that they even said that they're totally cool with it, and that they want to use it more in the future, and that it is the future. How are you so tone deaf as to make a movie like this that is about the idea of humanity and how that can be incorporated into like robots and stuff, and be so kind of half-brained about your idea of it that you make this movie about that and then say that still? That's crazy to me, that you totally miss the thing that you just made.
Yeah. It's
so weird, and I don't understand it, and that's more of an outside critique of them than it is of the movie itself. But still,
I think them saying the tube definitely builds traction and like having people watch their stuff too.
Yeah.
And to complain about when and where they would use such a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And like, we're two people that like, we love Infinity War and Endgame and all the Marvel stuff. It's why whenever I saw something that was talking about,
I don't know about love. Yeah, I do.
I was like, don't even try to like pretend. What do you think of Daredevil right now exactly?
Which one?
The newest one.
I've seen only the first episode.
Oh, okay. What did you think of that?
Great.
Yeah, so that's the point I'm making.
I'm hooked again.
Yeah. No, I also, just to tie back before we start wrapping everything up,
Yeah.
I did also find the action very boring. It sucks. You know what this movie's about, and the fact that it has nothing creative in the action scenes in it?
What?
What do you... I guess I answered my own question.
I don't. What got me interested in this movie was the fact that, of course, Hudson was like the new smartest guy in the world, and then
I like that you're so hooked on that.
Yeah, because it's just like, because it started from the very beginning, and then it connected only to the very end.
Look, I just want to mention we love Albert Einstein.
We do. He shook my hand once.
Yeah. Should put a picture of that.
It's just like right there. Boom.
Yeah.
It's just that part. I just had no follow through whatsoever, and I just don't understand how being the smartest makes it where like you have a connection with like the humans and the robots.
Oh yeah.
I didn't really explain that.
Well, they didn't explain really any of it. They're like, oh hey, by the way, we're
this
using his brain for everything.
It controls everything about this bad company.
No,
I'm like, what?
Yeah, and then he said we needed him, or else like something bad would happen. And then I'm confused as to what his character is like. Is he a bad guy or like a protagonist? And then he dies, but then they give him this like really mournful death, and you're like, so do I care about him or no?
I don't know.
Oh, one more huge complaint I have. This feels like someone got into my dad's Spotify and was like,
the music. I was like, okay, because the war. It's like I guess the second war.
Yeah.
It was in 1993.
Yes.
It said, yeah. Because I was so confused because it seemed like in the very beginning I was like, oh, 1980. I'm like, how are they gonna do a time jump?
Yeah.
And then the kid, like Millie Bobby Brown, gonna still look the same.
She does not look like she's what, 15?
Yeah.
How old is she supposed to be in these?
I don't know.
Either way, I thought that we don't critique this too much, but some of the needle drops are so obvious in what they're trying to say. Like if you're like,
the Don't Stop Believing. Dude, that was good. I was waiting for the lyrics to happen.
Yeah.
But it didn't. But even then I was like, all right.
No, we got that like old school, like the thing that they used to do in movies a few years ago where it's like, here's the slowed down, we're taking this seriously.
Slow reverb.
Yeah, track like they did with like Us, which it worked in that, don't get me wrong. But it's just like so irritating. And oh my god, what's that song?
Good Vibrations.
I Will Survive.
Oh yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
What about Good Vibrations?
That one too. And then somebody says, "I'm not dying to mark you, Mark," and the fuck you bunch. I thought that was kind of funny, but the
wow.
Also Wonderwall. Like,
oh, dude. You know, maybe this movie is funny.
I don't know. Like, that just felt it felt very corporate. Like, Netflix was like, hey, we have to get the demographic of the 44-year-old man. So make sure
it works.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, you know, I have a dad. Like, so I
don't worry, guys. My dad watches everything on Netflix, so he'll watch this one.
Seen this, but like, what I'm having to say about that is, I like the music too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I have heard it a billion times, because of course I have. Who has not heard Journey's "Don't Stop Believing" over and over? It's just like, that's another thing where I was like, Guardians of the Galaxy. You were just like,
I don't know. It's insane to see this type of movie, knowing that it was directed by these people and written by the same people who wrote these other movies too, knowing that they could give characters such depth and then action sequences a lot more of like vibrant scenes to it,
because we know that they can. We've seen like Endgame's final third act in
it's amazing already.
Winter Soldier, any action scene in that, it's just crazy. Talking about this more is one of those cases of me being like more agitated the more we talked about it. But at the end of the day, I just thought it was boring and bad. And I got to tell you something that happened to me. I was watching this at home, right?
Yes.
And I never do this. My
you
parents
paused it.
I didn't pause it. I fell asleep. And so what I had to do, you know exactly when I fell asleep? Whenever the baseball man's introduced.
That's funny.
So what I had to do, I woke up, I fell asleep for a solid 10 minutes, and I'm very good about this. I went back, I watched the whole thing again. So I was like,
from the beginning?
No, from that point on where I fell asleep. I'm not about to do that.
Dude, I was like, dang.
But yes, I did see the whole thing, because I refused to miss a single second of anything we review. So yes, I did. However, I hardly ever do that. I hardly ever fall asleep in the middle of something we're supposed to watch.
That's funny.
So, testament to how boring I thought this movie was. Overall, what'd you think?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this movie anymore, just because it makes me start to hate a little bit.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, I don't like this movie. I thought it was like okay.
Yeah. You texted me. You were like, it was okay.
It was okay. But then we started talking about more and more. I'm like, damn, this movie kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm still giving the same score as I always like. I'm still
as you always do.
As I always do with the Russo brothers.
That's like a 5.
Yeah.
Overall, what would you give this?
A 2.
Nice. Okay, we're in the same boat. All right.
I'll give it a 2. Just because I like the ideas are there, and I like the designs for the robots, and I like Chris Pratt and Stanley Tucci.
I gotta echo pretty much all the same sentiments. I'm also giving this a 2 out of 5. I thought the ideas were there. I liked the robot designs.
Yes.
Some of the jokes were okay enough. Anything coming out of Chris Pratt's mouth, basically.
That sounded like Anthony Mackie, or was it distorted through AI?
It was distorted through something. Whether it was AI or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So they saying everything in this movie. Okay, they said like they admitted to like certain scenes they use AI.
Yes.
And they said robot voices.
Yes.
And what else?
What else have yet to find out.
Okay,
but
I want to know that.
I would like to know that as well. It would give me a lot of understanding of how fucking terrible some of those backgrounds looked. You know what I'm talking about.
Dude, yes. I don't understand. I want to know where all that money went to.
Yeah.
For sure it wasn't marketing. I was like, so I need to know where it went.
Sure, but yeah, but like...
Me as the IRS agent, I need to see now.
Imagine being like that savvy in IRS. You're like, this movie looks pretty shitty.
I was like, you know what? Let's go talk to them right now.
Yeah. Excuse me, Mr.
Russo
Small Russo and Mr. Big Russo.
I need to know. Where'd this money go?
I thought it was funny, all the comments about him. They're like, hey, you guys notice that the tall one doesn't ever like talk in the interviews? And they're like it's always the small one. But
maybe he's shy.
I guess. I don't know. They're pretty big profile directors. You would hope that they aren't.
I don't think you'll really recognize them unless you're like fans.
I would recognize the one that's like the one that's in all the movies.
Oh yeah.
The one that was like the toaster is not a person or something.
Yeah, if I want to get a new toaster, I'm gonna get a new toaster.
Robot, by the way, that could have been funnier. The robot just kept on going, no, No. That missed opportunity.
Yeah, come on, guys. If you're gonna be racist, do it right.
Yeah, so like all the robot stuff, but it's just. I've seen iRobot, guys.
Oh, dude, yes.
It's that whole scene, like the whole thing.
Or robots.
No, it's the whole thing. Yeah, that too. With the one.
Or Astro Boy.
No, I'm thinking about the robot with like the big ass. That's.
Of course you were.
Granny Fanny, right? Yeah.
Dude, that was early 2000s. What are you doing?
I've seen it.
Okay, but still.
It's a good movie.
You're like, huh? And I just hit puberty.
Sorry, guys. What did you think of the electric state? It put me in a sleepy state. But overall, what are they gonna do?
I'm still in Texas.
Said I'm still on my taxes.
No, I'm still in Texas. Nah, I mean, I don't know, guys. Okay, if you're watching this movie, okay, let's say you're watching something on Netflix and you got to make sure you're still awake or turn off that feature where it says like play next.
Oh yeah.
Because for a fact, Netflix will do it where it's like, oh, play this movie next.
Oh, because it'll
recommend it because it's like similar, even though it's nothing similar, and it'll play that movie.
Yeah.
So make sure it's off. Make sure it's not the #1 movie on Netflix.
Erwin's complaining because he really loved Amelia Perez, so he was rewatching it. And this
me asleep. No, Amelia Perez again. And it's just like me hearing Selena Gomez just saying,
like, stop. Yeah. So
you mean like 3-time Oscar winner Amelia Perez?
Oh yeah, no, and then it's gonna be like, hey, after what's this movie called? The Electric State. Oh god. And it's like up next, Red. Wait, which one's
Red Notice?
Yeah, Red Notice.
Yeah.
You're like, no, stop it.
And then Red. Isn't it just Red?
Red 1.
Red 1. Damn, dude.
Red's a different movie with Chris Evans.
Okay.
And that one's good. So what are they gonna do?
They're gonna like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. What did you guys think of the Electric State? People seem to have a whole lot of opinions on it on our TikTok page. So
I love it. Keep it coming.
Yeah, if you want to find us on there and on Instagram, we're at Somewhere Between Pod on TikTok and at Somewhere Between Film on Instagram. But what's up next?
Novocaine,
which finally something. Thank you guys
something
so
that's
much.
Worth watching.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We will see you next time.